Hello and welcome to this weekly webinar series. Today to talk about role of pranayam in health and disease, we have with us Dr. G.K. Pal sir, who is Professor Senior Scale of Physiology at JIPMER, Program Director ACYTER JIPMER, and Dean Faculty of Medicine, Pondicherry University. I heartily welcome you, sir. We also have Dr. I.V. Basva Reddy sir, who is Director of Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Vandana. Namaste.
We also have Communication and Documentation Officer of MDNIY, Mohammad Tayyab Alam Service. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vandana.
Now let us start the program with prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now I would like to communication and documentation Tayyab Alam to deliver. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Vandana, and good evening, everyone. Friday webinar is a regular feature of Morarji Desai Institute of Yoga, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. The institutes invite eminent experts of yoga, modern medicine, media, and allied science to deliberate upon important health issues and conditions. Today we have with us respected Dr. G.K. Palsa, Professor of Physiology, JIPMER, Pondicherry. He is one of the renowned physiologists of India and has been closely associated with yoga and Morarji Institute of Yoga. Dr. G.K. Palsa will elaborate upon the topic role of pranayam in health and disease. On behalf of Morarji Institute of Yoga and my own behalf, it's my privilege to welcome you, sir, the Institute Friday webinar, which is quite popular in different social media handles. I also extend a warm welcome to Dr. Iswar V. Basavareddy, sir, Director, Morarji Desai Institute of Yoga. Organizing webinar on every Friday is not so easy, especially by inviting experts of diverse fields. However, it happens smoothly because of director's dedication and devotion. आपका बहुत स्वागत है सर. I also welcome all the students, social media team of the institute and social media friends who are joining us both from India and abroad. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request us to deliver introductory remarks. Sir.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today's esteemed guest and well-wisher of Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, Dr. G.K. Pal. Professor of Physiology. to deliver the जी प्रोफेसर जी की university. So he's having physiology. Then he has
सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट सर, आपका माइक शायद म्यूट हो गया है. सर आपका माइक शायद म्यूट हो गया है. आपका माइक म्यूट हो गया है.
His mic is muted. Basavaratti. His mic is muted. देखो जी. And he is speaking.
Basavaraj.
Basavaraddi. Raddi.
RADDY.
He's giving such a long introduction about him, but I missed it.
Correct.
ना ମୁଁ ତ ବହୁତ କମ୍ ଲେଖିଛି. It would have been ସିଏ କହୁଥିବ ଯେ ତାଙ୍କର ମୋର association.
Now I would like to request Dr. G.K. Pal sir to deliver the lecture. Sir, please.
Sure. Thank you so much, Vandana ji. At the outset, I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Basava Reddy ji to invite me for this special program. And also, I'm really thankful to him for giving me this opportunity to not only speak here today in this function. He had invited me earlier for many functions to MDNIY. And apart from that, he is so much closely, intimately associated with us. I'll be telling that actually at the end when I have the acknowledgement for him. But actually, I'm really grateful that in spite of his busy schedule, today he could come and attend this program, and he gave such a beautiful introduction about me. Though there are some technological transmissional, the problem in the transmission, but he spoke a lot. Actually, I do not know whether I deserve so much that he spoke about me. Namaskar. I welcome all of you to this my presentation. I shall be speaking to all of you today on a very important aspect of yoga, that is pranayama, and the role of pranayama in health and disease. I'll be sharing with you my research data, the work that I have done, the papers that we have published, the scientific validation of the data. Though we have done in all aspects of yoga, we have worked more actually on pranayama. That is why I selected this topic of pranayama for discussion in today's session. So my scheme of presentation will be, I'll give a very basic concept on pranayama, then I'll go to the physiology of breathing. In fact, I will be speaking pranayama is the art of and science of breathing. As a scientist, as a doctor, and also as a practitioner of pranayama, how I have realized it, how I have seen it, and how I have actually worked on it and have some research data to publish. So I'll be sharing that. Then I'll be speaking to you on the importance of slow and deep breathing, then the types of pranayama. There is a small video presentation of the pranayama from our yoga center. I do not know whether that will really connect. I'll see if that happens, that will be nice. Then I'll go to the physiological basis of health improvements by pranayama, and then the role of pranayama in reducing stress, then as a therapy in various diseases. So pranayama, the basic concept. You all know actually that pranayama is the breathing control. It consists of two parts, the prana and ayama. Prana means the vital energy or the life force, closely related to breathing. This prana is closely related to breathing, but it is not just the breathing exercise, the pranayama. It is much more than that. It is beyond just this oxygen intake into the body and removal of carbon dioxide from the body. Pranayama promotes flow of prana, the energy in the body. That is what is the pranayama. Not only the flow of air, not only the flow of the oxygen and carbon dioxide, but the energy, the prana. Where actually it flows in the nadis in the body. As you know, there are different nadis, and one of the nadi is actually the pranayama nadi, and that is actually there are many nadis. So the energy channel, the nadis in which the pranayama is closely linked, that is called the energy channel of the body, which is actually for this, the basis of pranayama. So the prana, that is actually causes flow of energy in the energy channel, that is the nadi of the body, and where that is present in the pranamaya kosha, the energy body. Then the next word is ayama. Ayama means literally extension or expansion. That is expansion of the dimension of the prana. So the prana, the energy which is flowing into the body in the nadi, that is the energy channel. From there, it actually extends, it expands to different parts of the body. So pranayama is the method in which the life forces can be activated and regulated beyond the boundaries of the respiratory system, of the lungs, of the thorax, of the chest, to attain higher state of energy. That is what is pranayama. The yogic framework of the human body, this has been taught, this has been told by many speakers. So I'll just go through this very fast because you all know it, because I will be speaking more to you about the scientific basis of pranayama. In physiology of yoga, the human framework of the body is of three bodies, not the only body that we see, the physical body. It has actually two other bodies, the physical body, the astral body, and the causal body. Physical body is the annamaya kosha, that is the material envelope of the body, the material envelope. So this is the body that you see. So that is what is the physical body. And then the astral body is made up of three: the manomaya kosha, that is the mental body; the pranamaya kosha, that is the vital energy body. That is what I was telling you, the flow of energy in this nadi, that is the pranic body. Then the vijnanamaya kosha, that is the psychic body. And the third body is the causal body, which is made up of the kosha, the envelope, that is the inner envelope, that is the anandamaya kosha, that is the transcendental or the bliss body, the bliss body. So we have three bodies: the physical that we see, astral, and the causal. Pranamaya, the pranayama actually works mainly in the pranic body, that is the pranamaya kosha or the vital energy body. So this is the picture, which is just a depiction of the bodies. You can see here, you can see this, the causal body, the astral body, and the physical body. So the anandamaya kosha, that is what I was telling you, the inner body that we don't see actually. So when we start doing pranayama, we actually first activate the pranamaya kosha, the energy sheath, and then from there we activate or we get connected, and then we make growth of our inner psychic body, that is the anandamaya kosha, that is actually which is inside. And then the anandamaya kosha, from there actually it spreads and spreads, and then you can see the anandamaya kosha is actually the envelope, which is the outer. Then it becomes the outer, that is the anandamaya kosha, the bliss body. It actually starts from the center, then it enlarges, then the energy flows, and then it manifests, then it illumines the entire body. Then finally we realize the the power and the functions of the anandamaya kosha. How I'll tell you how this scientifically to some extent, and also otherwise how we realize this with the help of this pranayama. So the pranic body, which is linked to pranayama, the pranayama is linked to the pranic body, which is pranas, and there are 5 major pranas. The first is prana, apana, samana, udana, and dhyana. So they are designated as pancha prana because there are 5 pranas. And this is the depiction of 5 pranas. I'll tell you that at the center of it, which is there in the green color, that is actually the prana, the central prana. It is actually, occupying the entire thorax. Thorax means the chest part, and then it also goes little to the throat. It is extended between throat and the diaphragm. So within this, actually, what you have, the thorax, and within the thorax we have mediastinum. In the mediastinum we have heart, we have lungs, and we have few other structures, especially one very important endocrine organ which is more developed in the young individuals and that slowly regresses afterward, that is the thymus gland. So these are the structures present in the prana part of the pranic body. So this is the another spiritual depiction of the pancha prana, and this is what I was telling you. At the center is the prana. You can see here it is written diaphragm to thorax. So this is the diaphragm, this is the thorax, and from diaphragm to thorax to then to throat. So diaphragm to the throat. In between that is the chest, the thorax. And what are the organs present? Heart and lungs. These are the major 2 organs, and the functions: breathing, swallowing, circulation of blood, and the heartbeats. And therefore also within this you can see here there are 2 chakras. One is, you can see here, so one is the Visuddhi chakra and the Anahata chakra, that is at the heart center, and the Visuddhi chakra at the throat center. So I'm telling you this to link it scientifically to the physiological basis of yoga. That is why I'm bringing this at the beginning of my talk, how it happens scientifically when we practice pranayama. And see here, this is a picture. This is just a picture which depicts, but it speaks actually. That is what I was telling you. At the center of the body, you can see here, at the center of the body, you can see here, there is at the center of the body the psychic light. And this is closely linked to the the prana of the pancha pranas, the central prana. That is what I was telling you, the heart, lungs here. And when this that Visuddhi chakra actually that is activated by this, and then the light, the pranayama influences the prana, the center of the body. It kindles the vital energy that flows to the entire body and illuminates it. It flows to the entire body and illuminates it. And you can, this is what they have depicted, the light emanating from the body, physical body. So this is what actually the pranayama does. Pranayama actually, it activates the flow of energy. Then the ayama, that is actually the expansion of the energy, which actually expands, then illumines the body and beyond. So that is what is the speciality of pranayama. Pranayama brings technically and scientifically the control on breathing, and then spiritually it activates the life force that goes beyond the boundaries of one's normal limitation and attains the higher state of vibratory energy. So first let us look at it scientifically, that to understand the physiology of pranayama, first let us see how the pranayama helps in improving the physiology of the breathing, the functions of the breathing, and how pranayama is actually the accelerated, improved breathing. So let us first try to understand the physiology of normal breathing, then the pranayama, then we'll speak of the scientific and the spiritual part of aspects of pranayama. The normal breathing occurs automatically without consciousness. We breathe. I am breathing, but I am not conscious that I am breathing because I am speaking now. I'm not conscious of my breathing. But actually, a person who is conscious, he should be really conscious of his breathing all the time, and that is what is yoga. So breathing occurs automatically without awareness in all of us. Normal breathing rate is about 15 per minute, 12 to 18 per minute in adults, and usually it is shallow, and most people do it incorrectly. They don't do it properly actually. Then the question comes, how the people do it incorrectly when it is a spontaneous, normal functions of the body. There are few components of the breathing. Breathing actually is nothing but the function of the respiratory cage of the respiratory apparatus, which has three components. The diaphragm, which is the lower part of the cage. You just see one cage. In a cage, there will be a base, there will be a wall, and there will be apex. So the diaphragm is the base of the cage, and the chest wall, the wall of the cage, and at the apex, that is the clavicle and the upper part of the cage, and also the neck, the tip of the cage. So the expansion of the thoracic cage during inspiration decreases the intrathoracic pressure. When we are breathing in, the thorax expands, and then the inside the thorax, the pressure decreases, and therefore negative intrathoracic pressure, which is in the thorax, sucks air from the environment into it, and therefore the air passively enters into it. And more is the expansion, more is the negativity of the thorax inside the pressure negativity, and more flow of entry of air into the lungs. And this is the thoracic cage I was telling you. So this is the diaphragm, which is the base. Then the chest wall, that is made up of the ribs and the intercostal muscles, that is the wall. And at the top is the clavicle here, and the upper part of the lower part of the neck and the upper part of the chest, that is the cone, the apex of the thoracic cage is mainly the clavicle. So when we inhale, the air enters, and you can see here the chest expands. There is expansion of the chest. The ribs are lifted up and out. The ribs are lifted up and out. And while this is happening, the diaphragm, which is actually a muscular organ that separates the thorax and the abdomen, you can see in the right picture. Normally, it is actually like a dome. When thorax expands, the diaphragm flattens. So it actually enlarges and then it flattens. With this, the diaphragm flattening, the expansion of the thorax happens, and the negativity of the intrathoracic pressure happens, and the air enters. That is the inhalation. And then when the rib cage contracts, the rib turns down and inward, the chest deflates, the diaphragm resumes back to its normal position of dome, and then this actually decreases the compresses the thorax, and the air comes out. That is the exhalation. As we breathe in, the first what happens, the air enters into the nose, then to the respiratory tube, then into the trachea, then to the larger bronchi, and then it goes into the lungs. So air from the environment first fills this respiratory tubes. The volume of air in the respiratory tube before it reaches the alveoli, this is called dead space volume, because it does not take part in the alveolar ventilation, which is actually the gas exchange. And this volume of air is 150 ml. The dead space, it is called dead space because it does not take part in ventilation. This is 150 ml. So breathing above this air. So when we are breathing, if we breathe only 150 ml, then the air is only filled in the air, the respiratory tube. It does not go to the alveoli, the parenchyma of the lungs. When the breathing in is more than 150 ml, whatever the amount more than that enters into the alveoli, and then that actually causes the alveolar ventilation, that is the gas exchange. And you can see here, this is the nose, then pharynx, nasopharynx, then this is the trachea and the main stem bronchi up to this. So this is the dead space volume. This is called anatomical dead space. And this is called conducting zone, because this conducts air from the environment to the lungs. And then air that enters into the lungs, which is beyond above 150 ml, that actually causes this alveolar exchange, that is the gas exchange, that is the exchange of air, the oxygen and carbon dioxide with the capillary blood. Having understood this, now I'll tell you what is the shallow breathing and what is the pranayamic breathing. Shallow breathing at rest. An individual who I told you, individuals, they breathe incorrectly. They do not breathe perfectly. They have a wrong breathing. They have not learned actually how to breathe well. In shallow breathing, at rest the tidal volume is 250 to 300 ml. Tidal volume means the volume of air that normally we breathe in and breathe out. That is the tidal volume. Breathe in or breathe out, that is the tidal volume, that is about 270 ml. Maximum 300. At rest actually does not happen beyond 300 ml. So out of this 300 ml, as I have already told you, 150 ml of air occupies the dead space. So the dead space volume of 150 ml air, that is constant, that remains. So beyond that, that means more than that, less than 150 ml is available for oxygenation, gas exchange in the alveoli. Air does not reach the deeper part of the lungs because only 150 ml of air enters into the lungs. Air does not reach the deeper part of the lungs and does not facilitate much oxygenation of the organ. Therefore, due to inhalation and exhalation of small volume, germs, the organisms, they tend to accumulate in the lower parts of the lungs. Shallow breathing leads to insufficient oxygenation, not only in the lungs, oxygen supplied to different organs, so there will be less oxygenation of the body tissues and therefore less functional metabolism and functional disturbances, and that actually invites the illness. Now I think I have made you understand what is the basic breathing. Then the pranayama. Pranayama is a process of slow and deep breathing. In a slow and deep breathing, the chest is more expanded. We just take a little deeper breathing, the chest is more expanded. And usually in a deep breathing, the amount tidal volume, that is the amount of air that enters and comes out, that is 500 ml, which was 300 ml in a shallow normal breathing. So in a deep breathing, this volume is 500 ml. The 350 ml of air is now available. 350 ml of air is now available for oxygenation because that is above the 150 ml, which was about 100 ml or 150 ml in a shallow breathing. So now 350 ml of air is available for alveolar ventilation. So this actually this is the beauty of the deep breathing. Apart from more amount of oxygen delivered in a slow and deep breathing, not only the breathing is deep, and that is why we have taken more air, it is done slowly. Therefore, the time required to transfer oxygen from lungs to the blood and carbon dioxide from blood to the lungs is more. This results in more oxygenation, more removal of toxic substances from the body, and then this maintains the metabolism and healthy organ system and the functions. In slow and deep breathing, that is the pranayamic breathing, all these three parts of the respiratory apparatus that I told you just little before, the lower part, that is the diaphragm, that is the abdominal part of the respiratory cage, that is called the abdominal breathing. The middle part, that is the thoracic cage, that is with the rib and the intercostal muscle, that is the thoracic breathing. And the upper part, that is the clavicular breathing. All the three parts, the abdominal part, that is the diaphragmic breathing, then the thoracic, the middle part, that is the thoracic cage breathing, and the upper part, that is the clavicular breathing. So all the three parts, these are actually three steps of the breathing process. They actually take part in succession. I'll tell you how this happens. In a normal shallow breathing, we do not really practice so consciously, and therefore just we breathe out and breathe in. See, I'm just breathing in. So what is happening? My thorax is just a little bit expanding, then I'm just breathing in. But when you become conscious, you take a deep breathing. So what you do here, you expand first. You have to learn it how to do it. You have to expand first the abdominal part, that is the diaphragm, then the thoracic cage, then the upper part, that is the clavicular part, which is done in succession in three steps: the diaphragmatic, thoracic, and clavicular in succession, and that actually makes you realize that you have made the effortful, conscious, and a much bigger expansion of the thoracic cage. So abdominal breathing associated with movement of diaphragm and the outer wall of abdomen, that is the abdominal breathing, and this is actually the diaphragm is flattened, that I have already showed you. This enlarges the chest cavity maximally, and this actually the abdominal part of the breathing draws greatest volume of air. And then you have the diaphragm. This is this is what is the diaphragmic breathing. You can just see here how actually the diaphragm is the diaphragm is getting flattened, and then the lungs expanding, and the air is coming inside. Then the thoracic breathing, that is what I was telling you, the thoracic cage. That is the second step of the the conscious breathing. The intercostal muscles, the rib cage, they actually take part in this. This increases further the thoracic cage volume. Then finally, and this is this picture depicts how the thoracic cage can be expanded. You can see here the expansion of the thorax and this contraction in the expiration. So this expansion of the thorax further increases the thoracic volume and brings in more air inside. Then the last one, there is the clavicular breathing, which is achieved by raising the shoulder and the collarbone, and then the top of the chest cage and the rib cage, and then this clavicular breathing makes further entry of little more air into the thorax. The clavicular breathing is actually nil, absent in shallow breathing. Actually, the clavicle does not take part in shallow breathing. Only a little bit of thoracic movement and just a little more about the diaphragm. So this is the clavicular breathing. I was telling you the advanced step of the thoracic breathing. So finally, the chest is lifted up and clavicle is lifted up, and what happens here? The shoulders and collarbone, they move up slightly, so that further you can see here what I'm doing here. So then my chest is lifted up, the collarbone, the clavicle is lifted up, so that actually adds more air into the thorax. So this is the clavicular breathing. So in yogic breathing, the yogic breathing is called dirgha swasa, that is the dirgha pranayama, because all the three components, the lower abdominal component, the middle thoracic component, and the upper, that is the clavicular component, they all take part in succession, stepwise, from below upward, and bring about more inhalation of air and also exhalation of air from the lungs. So the dirgha pranayama, that is dirgha means the long, pranayama the breathing. So in dirgha pranayama, the abdominal breathing, thoracic breathing, and the clavicular breathing, they all take part, and this is the physiological basis of pranayama. This brings about maximum expansion of the chest and maximum inhalation. Now coming to the pranayama, as you know, you have already all studied much more. I think you know more than me, because you are all studying yoga. You all belong to MDNIY, which is the center of advanced yoga in the country. So I'll not speak more about the yogic part, but I'll tell you the scientific part. So scientifically, we divide pranayama into fast pranayama and slow pranayama. This is also the classification, the yogic classification. The fast pranayama, which you do a little faster but deep. Then slow pranayama, deep but slow. The typical fast pranayama is Kapalabhati, Bhastrika, and the Murcha pranayama. There are a few more. I have just listed here the commonly practiced fast pranayamas. Slow pranayamas is more in number, and the first one is the Sahaja or the Sukha pranayama, that the usual breathing that we can practice. Then Anulam Bilam pranayama, Chandranadi pranayama, Bhramari pranayama, Sitali, Sitkari, Ujjayi, and Surya Veda or Surya Nadi pranayama. So these are the slow pranayamas. I am just showing you some pictures. You have seen such pictures before. This is the picture of the position of the body for Kapalabhati, how actually you contract the abdominal muscles, and you contract them inward, and you exhale forcefully. That is what is the Kapalabhati. And then this is another picture from the side. You can see here how the abdomen is taken inside. So the diaphragmatic part is forcefully taken into the action here. Then the Bhastrika Pranayama it is again another diaphragmatic breathing, the bellows breathing. And then this is another picture of the Bhastrika Pranayama. Then Anulam Vilam, that is the alternate nostril breathing. You close one, breathe out through the other, then close the other and breathe out through this nostril, Anulam Vilam. Then Chandranadi Pranayama, this is actually the left nostril breathing, that you close your right nostril and then you breathe in through the left. There are different mudras. Nasagra mudra is there. This is a simple Nasagra mudra. And this is another Nasagra mudra for the same Chandranadi Pranayama. Then the Bhramari Pranayama, here you close the ear and then you take a deep breath and you make the sound of humming bee, Bhramari. And it actually activates many senses in not only in the vomeronasal organ, but in the entire respiratory tract. And it is scientifically proved actually this releases more nitric oxide, Bhramari. And then Shitali Pranayama, making your tongue little out and folding it, making it in like a narrow tunnel. Then you breathe through your tongue and then breathe out, exhale through the nose. And while doing this, you take the air enters into your body is cooled air. That is why it is called cooling breath, Shitali. This is another picture of Shitali Pranayama. So now I will show you a video of recording. Then I'll come back to the mechanism of it. Yeah. Good morning, all of you. Now we are going to give a brief demonstration of pranayamas. With me today, we have two yoga instructors, Mrs. Vidyalakshmi, senior yoga instructor, and Mrs. Prabhavati.
Sir, it is not been shared.
I'm just trying. I'm just connecting. Instructing the different steps of pranayama, and Mrs. Prabhavati will be demonstrating to you the different steps how it is being practiced. Then after are you seeing the picture of video?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Now
sir.
it is visible.
Now, to Mrs. Vidyalakshmi to initiate the practice session.
Namaskara Mudra. Close your eyes. Om chanting. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Rub your palms, facing over your eyes, face and neck. Vanakkam. Chin Mudra. First we are going to practice one deep breathing, Sukha Pranayama. Concentrate your breathing. Sit straight. Relax your shoulders. Gently close your eyes. Now slowly watching your breathing. Take a long deep breath. Now breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 2, 3, 9 rounds is you can practice. Now relax your breath. Next we'll go for fast pranayama. Today we practice Kapalabhati and Bhastrika. Kapalabhati means fast, one of the fast pranayama. Kapala means skull, Pati means shine. Passive inhalation, active exhalation, forceful exhalation for Kapalabhati. First exhale your breath. Now breathe in, out, 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 out. Relax. Relax your breath. One more time. Now breathe in. Slowly take a long deep breath. Breathe in. Out forcefully. Relax. Initially, likewise, you can practice 10 to 20 strokes. It helps to resolve our Kapha disorder. Relax. Next, we will go for Bhastrika Pranayama, bellows breath, forceful inhalation and forceful exhalation. Now take a deep breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Likewise, you can practice for 10 to 20 strokes. Now relax your breath. Next, we will go for slow pranayama. First one is Chandra Nadi pranayama, left nostril breathing. Keeping Chin Mudra in your left hand, Nasarka Mudra in your right hand. Close your right nostril with your thumb. Now breathe in, breathe out through your left nostril, exclusive left nostril breathing. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now relax. Now she can demonstrate only. You can practice 5 to 9 times. Now relax. Next we will go for Anulom Vilom on alternative nostril breathing. Again, keeping Nasarka Mudra in your right hand. Close your right nostril. Now breathe in through your left nostril. Breathe in. Close your left nostril with your ring finger. Breathe out through your right. Breathe out. Again, breathe in. Close your right nostril. Breathe out through your left. Again, left in. Right out. Right in. Left out. Relax. Count on your breath. Relax your mind. In this pranayama, purify all the nadis. Relax your mind. Balancing pranayama, one of the balancing pranayama. Next, we will go to perform for Brahmari Pranayama, honeybee sound. Take the index finger, close all the fingers, close your ears, your index, close your eyes. Now slowly breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out in sound. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out. Relax, relax your hand, relax your breath, relax for a few seconds. This is excellent stress buster pranayama. And then last one we will go for Shitali pranayama or the cooling pranayama. Open your mouth, roll your tongue like a tube. Now slowly breathe in through your mouth. Close your mouth, breathe out through your nostril. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax. Feel the chillness on your throat region. Relax your body. Relax your mind. Feel the pranas. Lie down Shavasana. Each and every yoga session, Shavasana is very important on the relaxation postures. Lie down on your back. Relax your hand. Relax your leg. Relax your mind.
Yeah, so now you had a demonstration. Is it visible and audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So you had a demonstration of this pranayamas that we practice at our Advanced Yoga Center at Jikmar, and two of our yoga instructors, they gave you the demonstration, and you saw actually not only that, you are doing a breathing exercise. It was just an occasion for relaxing the body. That is most important. While doing it, one has to relax the body. It is a slow breathing, it is a deeper breathing, and inhalation and exhalation. If you compare, inhalation is less and exhalation is more actually. So in a pranayamic breathing, there are 4 steps in a pranayamic breathing. The inhalation, that is puraka, and then the antara kumbhaka, that is the internal breath, that is the internal breath retention. Kumbhaka is retention. Then rechaka, that is exhalation, and then the Bahir Kumbhaka, that is external breath retention. So there are 4 steps in pranayama. The Kumbhaka, that is most important actually, the retention part. In normal breathing, I told you, which is a shallow breathing, there is no retention. You just breathe in little bit, breathe in, then you little bit breathe out, and there is no pause, there is no retention. For the beginners, actually, the retention is not done, then slowly retention is incorporated into breathing, and then retention is prolonged. That is, the duration of Kumbhaka is increased gradually. Now I'll come back again to the physiology of the breathing. There are 4 physiological aspects of breathing in pranayama. One is, it is a slow breathing. Number 2, deep breathing, retention of breathing, that is Kumbhaka, and prolongation of expiration, that is more duration of the Rechaka. That is, you slowly breathe in and you take a deep breath, then you hold it, and then you exhale it, which is slowly, and you prolong it as much as possible. So these are the 4 steps, and there are physiological aspects of it. This I'll be speaking today. In normal breathing, the duration of exhalation is less than 50% of inhalation. You can see yourself. We just breathe in and then breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. The breathe out is less than 50% of breathing in. Inhalation and then exhalation, which is less than 50%. In pranayamic breathing, not only the breathing in is increased, exhalation, which is very less in normal breathing, this is prolonged. This is prolonged. Once the breathing out, exhalation is same as the inhalation, it is called 1:1 ratio. This itself is much more than the normal breathing. That means the duration of exhalation, because normally the duration of inhalation to exhalation is 1 to 0.05 or less, 0.05, 1 to half of it or less than this. In pranayamic breathing, if you make it just same duration, then itself is the exhalation is more. Then pranayama is a slow breathing. You breathe in, breathe out slowly. I told you the normal rate of breathing is 15 per minute. The duration of each cycle when it is 15 breaths per minute is about 4 seconds, in which 2.5 seconds spent in inspiration and 1.5 seconds in expiration. In pranayama, as it was demonstrated to you just little before, the respiratory cycle was about 10 seconds. 10 seconds. So this is a controlled breathing, because the rate is 6 breathing per minute. The one major part of the pranayama is to make breathing slow and decrease the frequency. With mastery, the control of pranayama, it is further reduced. That is 4 or even 2 breathings per minute, in which the expiration is more prolonged. Pranayama is a process of deep breathing. Not only it is slow, it is deep. I told you 3 parts of the breathing apparatus: the abdominal, the thoracic, and the clavicular components, all brought into stepwise: abdominal, lower, middle thoracic, then upper clavicular, and you expand it so much. And that is why it is a deep breathing. Chest expansion is as wide as possible. That is what actually one has to practice. Duration of expiration is more in pranayama. That is what actually I was telling you. Pranayama is a slow process, mainly because of the duration of expiration. Exhalation is more. In the early part, the ratio is 1:1. Then later, it can be made 1:2. That means the exhalation double than that of the inhalation. Then slowly this can even be further increased to 1:3 or 1:4 or even 5. We can make it, and that is what is the beauty of pranayama. I'll come to this scientifically, what is the utility of it. Then the kumbhak, that is the retention, and there are 2 retentions. You take inspiration, retain inner kumbhak, then you expire, that is you exhale, then you retain, that is the bahir kumbhak. So you have antar kumbhak and bahir kumbhak. To start with, one can have 1:1:1:1. That is, you just inhale, then you take a pause, that means you retain it for the same duration, then same duration exhale, then again you retain it for the same duration. The 5 counts inhale, 5 counts retain, 5 counts exhale, and 5 counts retain. Slowly, what is done, the duration of expiration is increased and duration of kumbhak retention is increased in different proportion without increasing the duration of the inspiration. It can be 1:2:1:1:2:1. That means 5 counts, 10, then 5. That means 5 inspiration, 5 inner kumbhak, then 10 expiration, then 5 bahir kumbhak. Then slowly the ratio is kept on changing. That is stage 3, then stage 4, then we have stage 5 and stage 6. Here actually you can see here 1:4:2:2. That means the inhalation remains same, the 5 counts. Then after that the retention for 20 counts. Then 10 counts exhalation, then 10 counts again retention, the bahir kumbhak. So what is finally happening in this? The duration of inspiration is not increased, it remains same. Inner kumbhak is increased maximally. Duration of expiration is increased. Superimposed with the increased outer kumbhak. Thus, the duration of inner retention, exhalation much more in pranayamic breathing, and this is the scientific basis of the benefit. I'm just coming to that. Daily schedule can be 5 to 10 rounds of this pranayama in the morning and the evening will be enough. If you reach the stage 6, that means actually in this 1:4:2:2, one actually takes the inspiration, retain for a longer time, then exhale, then retain. By the time the one cycle is completed, it is actually 40 to 45 seconds. That means it is one breathing, little more than that is in 1 minute. So if you practice it 5 to 10 rounds, enough actually. That will be around 15 minutes in the morning once and in the evening once. Now I come to the scientific basis. Pranayama improves heart rate variability, HRV. Pranayama improves cardiorespiratory functions, autonomic functions, metabolic functions, and visceral functions. Pranayama improves HRV, heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is one of the major area of research, especially in yoga, because HRV is directly linked to pranayama. I'll tell you that how it is. We emphasize on pranayama, the controlled breathing, improving the HRV, the heart rate variability. Heart rate variability of an individual is more important than his heart rate per se. If somebody's heart rate is 80, it is good actually. But I would like to see what is the variation between the heart rate, which is now computed scientifically by this automatic analysis system that is called HRV recording system. And the variation between the heart rate really speaks of the person's the autonomic balance, cardiovascular balance, respiratory balance. HRV is very important. Practice of slow breathing exercise improves vagal tone, reduces sympathetic activity. And this improvement of the vagal tone, that is most important. And then reduction of the sympathetic tone, they are all linked to heart rate and heart rate variability, because HRV is nothing but the regulation of the heart rate, heart functions by the vagus nerve and the sympathetic nerve. We have actually published this paper. It was published in 2004, and it has been cited many times. It has been cited more than 300 times. Then what actually we saw actually this this slow pranayama decreases blood pressure, improves cardiorespiratory function. This was published in American Journal of Health Promotion in 2014. So what is the scientific basis? When we breathe in a normal, I'm just speaking of the normal breathing. When we breathe in, then what happens? The heart rate increases. You can just keep your this finger on the radial artery, then just you can breathe in. You'll see while breathing in, your rate is more. And then you just breathe out and just keep palpating the radial pulse. You'll see that there is slowing of the radial pulse. Just you can breathe in, you see the heart rate is increasing, then slowly breathe out, you'll see the heart rate is slowly decreasing. So increase in heart rate during inspiration and decrease in heart rate during expiration is nothing but a function of the vagus nerve. So alteration in vagal tone actually causes the alteration in the heart rate, increasing heart rate in the inspiration when the vagal tone is more. Normally the vagus nerve supplies the heart, and normally the vagus nerve inhibits the SA node of the heart and decreases the heart rate. In inspiration, the vagal tone is less, the vagal strength is less, and therefore the heart rate is more. In inspiration, vagal tone is less, and therefore the heart rate is more. In expiration, when we breathe out, the vagal tone physiologically actually increases. There are three mechanisms. One is the Ben-Bridge reflex, expansion of the thoracic volume. So many things are there actually. The vagal tone increases during expiration, and then that actually decreases the heart rate. Therefore, what I was telling you, more the expiration, more is the vagal tone. That is the fundamental basis, the scientific basis of the pranayama. In pranayamic breathing, that is the slow and deep breathing exercise, duration of expiration is more. It is slow, it is deep, and with more duration of expiration. So this what it does actually, because expiration is directly due to the vagal tone. More expiration, more vagal tone. The vagal strength is more. So increased vagal tone, that also simultaneously decreased sympathetic tone. This attains sympathovagal balance. And this is the principle of the physiological basis of pranayama. So when we breathe out more, we practice to breathe out more than breathing in, we are actually improving the vagal tone, the vagal function. And we have many papers actually on this. The one I have cited here, that is this practicing pranayama, how the blood pressure decreases in hypertensive and pre-hypertensive patients. Slow pranayama improves vagal tone and sympathovagal balance, the balance between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, the vagus nerve, by four mechanisms. Number one, the vagal activity. Just now I told you the sinus arrhythmia, that is called sinus arrhythmia, the alteration in heart rate, more in inspiration, less in expiration due to vagal function. The vagal tone increases by increasing the duration of expiration, that strengthens vagal tone. Then number two, when we are expanding our chest, the thoracic cage, the proprioceptive stimulation, the receptors in the thoracic cage, there are sensory fibers from the thorax, from the the ribs, joints, and the muscles. They actually, with expansion, there is more stimulation of these receptors. These are called proprioceptors. Proprioceptive stimulation from the chest and lungs, they also increase vagal tone. Number three, by doing this actually, slow and deep breathing, we are taking in more oxygen. So slow breathing supplies more oxygen to the brain. It improves limbic and hypothalamic function. This is important, limbic and hypothalamic function. I'll come to this shortly. Then practice of, especially what we have seen in our study, the Anulam Vilam, that is alternate nostril breathing, and Chandranadi, that is left nostril breathing, it especially stimulates vagal activity. And this is important. That is why in hypertension, in diabetes, we actually prescribe more of this Chandranadi and Anulam Vilam pranayama, because we have seen that is known to stimulate vagal activity. This increases vagal tone and brings the sympathovagal balance. So what actually I was telling you, the pranayama, by increasing the oxygenation of the cortical cortex, the brain, the cortical function, metabolism, what it does, it stimulates the limbic, activates the limbic system. Especially in the limbic system, there is area 24 and 25 in the anterior cingulate gyrus, from where there is origin of this, the sympathovagal fibers. So this limbic function in the brain is activated by pranayama, and therefore the sympathovagal output is controlled. In addition to that, hypothalamus, which is the master of the endocrine orchestra of the body, is directly under the influence of the limbic system. So by improving limbic function, we improve the sympathovagal output, we improve the hypothalamic function. And hypothalamus is the head ganglion of the autonomic nervous system, sympathetic and parasympathetic. So therefore, hypothalamus, through sympathovagal output and directly through the endocrine control. Hypothalamus controls pituitary, Then pituitary controls all the organs, endocrine organs of the body. That is called hypothalamo pituitary endocrine axis. That is activated. So all endocrine functions through sympathophageal output, the food intake, digestion, metabolism, and all visceral functions of the body are not only improved, they are controlled, smoothened, regulated. This is the central effects of pranayama to improve hypothalamo pituitary axis. This is what actually I wanted to tell you. Not only the vagal tone by the chest expansion through central mechanism of limbic, hypothalamic, then the pituitary axis, we improve so much of our body function. Here, just one of our research data I would like to share with you. It will be a little difficult for you to understand, but I'll just explain you in a simplified language. This is actually one HRV recording. I was telling you, heart rate variability is directly linked to pranayama. This is called HRV tachogram. You can see here, this one, the yellow part of it, this is the last part. This is actually the vagal strength of HRV, and the middle part is the sympathetic strength. So we just look at these two. This is actually recording of a young boy who was actually doing regular physical activity, regular exercises. In him, actually, this is a 24 years boy actually, in whom we recorded it, and he has actually, you can see here, the LFHF ratio. LFHF ratio is actually here. The LFHF ratio is 0.720. LFHF ratio. So this LFHF ratio 0.720 in an young athlete is a good. It is actually a good ratio. He has a balance of sympathetic and parasympathetic. You can see here the vagal power is looking so good. Therefore, the ratio is less than 1. LFHF ratio. That is the ratio between the LF representing sympathetic, HF the high frequency representing the vagal, the parasympathetic. So it is good actually. Then we just gave this student who was already doing a regular exercise a 15 days, 2 weeks of this pranayama. We gave these two pranayamas, the Chandranadi pranayama and Anulam Vilom. Then after 15 days we recorded his HRV. You can just see here the yellow part of it is so much increased, and just left to it that the sympathetic part, the yellow part is the vagus nerve. This is the vagal component, and the left to it is the sympathetic component is so much reduced. In this young boy, just 15 days practice of yoga improved so much of the vagal function, who was already healthy, already doing exercise, already having a higher vagal, sympathovagal balance and more vagal function is further increased. This is the representative of the vagal function. You can see here, again I go back to previous slide. You can see here, this is the vagal component, and this is the sympathetic component. And in this, after 15 days of yoga practice, the pranayama practice, the vagal component has occupied most of the component of the HRV, and the sympathetic component is reduced so much. And therefore, the LF-HF ratio, the ratio between the sympathetic to parasympathetic, is reduced to almost 0.2. This is one of the, just an example of how the pranayama can improve the vagal function, and pranayama is an index of the vagal function, and how much one can really improve the vagal strength by practicing pranayama. Okay, I'm coming to the last part of my talk, that is the health benefits of pranayama. Pranayama have enormous benefits. It improves body energy and vitality. It brings balance of the mind, body, controls emotion, improves self-confidence. It improves memory, intellectual faculty, cognitive function. It improves the neurons and neural nerves. It decreases fear, psychosis, improves relaxation of the body and mind. That is what actually I'm telling you in the demonstration. It was shown actually while practicing it, how you learn to relax yourself, and that our yoga instructor actually giving nice instruction: relax, calm down, and that is what one should do while practicing pranayama. Then it decreases the level of stress, improves immunity, improves cardiovascular function, improves respiratory function. It actually makes a person fearless, and it brings self-confidence. This is what it improves the immunity. It controls the person's control on stress is improved. And this is what we need actually now during this COVID-19. During COVID-19, we are all under fear. Anytime I may get the infection, anytime I may be admitted with infection COVID-19, because it is such a unpredictable disease. Even the young people are dying. And if somebody is infected in your neighborhood, there is so much of fear. You go to office, you go to market, you see, you do not know who is infected. We have so much of fear. But if you practice pranayama, it improves your immunity, it brings fearlessness in you, it brings self-confidence, and you control your stress. As a therapy, what we have done actually and what we have seen, it improves the vagal function. As I showed, I spoke so much about it, the sinus arrhythmia, how the vagal tone is increased. I'll tell you, this vagal nerve, vagus nerve, directly innervates the pancreas, the beta cell. That is called cholinergic innervation of beta cell. Stimulation of cholinergic fibers to beta cell of pancreas increases insulin release. So pranayama, by increasing vagal function, increases insulin release. So pranayama is very helpful in diabetes management. Pranayama, I showed you, decreases sympathetic activity, decreases blood pressure by decreasing vasoconstriction, the blood vessel which is constricted by sympathetic. By pranayama, decrease sympathetic, the blood vessels dilate, so blood pressure falls. So this is for hypertension management. Then I told you, pranayama brings sympathovagal balance. So it is very important in the management of heart failure. Then pranayama improves cerebral blood flow. Therefore, it is important in improving the cognitive functions, memory. Therefore, it is useful in cognitive deficits, neurodegenerative disorders, and psychiatric disorder. And now actually we are doing two projects in our department. One is on bipolar disorder, and one is actually on another psychosomatic disorder. We have taken up two randomized control trial, RCTs at present going on. Then, as you know, that pranayama is known to improve respiratory function. Therefore, pranayama is useful in asthma, chest diseases. We have also done actually a lot of other diseases, rheumatoid arthritis. We have done one this thing. We have also taken up one cancer project. We have completed part of it and we have published. The second part is going on. So pranayama as a therapy is useful in many diseases. Yeah, the last part of it, the spiritual significance of pranayama. A quote from Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it says, life is the period between one breath and the next. We take one breath, the next breath. So between them, that is the life. How? Because a person who only half breathes, he only lives half. So that means if you breathe full, consciously, more, deeper, slowly, then you breathe for a longer time, and you breathe not only longer, you live longer. Why? Because practice of pranayama is for spiritual upliftment. That is what I told you in some of my initial slide. The prana of the pranayama, the pranic body, the prana of the pranic body, it illumines the entire body. Then pranayama prolongs your healthy longevity. It has been already told, already depicted by our seers, yoga practitioners, rishis, that it has been told by them the fixed number of breaths allocated to a person during his lifetime. Let us say 500 million breath is allotted to a person during his lifetime. So if he takes normal breathing, the shallow breathing, that he can finish it maybe in 50 to 55 to 60 years. But if he practices slow and deep breathing, then he can extend by another 30 years, 85 to 90, because number of breaths are fixed for the individual. So if one breathes slowly, he lives longer, as the number of breaths are allocated for a single lifetime of a person is fixed. So what is the beauty of it actually? I'm telling you something else. See, I told you that you practice 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening. That means you are done only for half an hour, you are doing it. Then how you really do rest of the time? You are only practicing pranayama for some time, maybe half an hour in the morning, half an hour in this thing, rest of 23 hours, you are not doing it. No. The Sahaja Yoga practice. Sahaja Yoga. That is what I always emphasize. That is when we are breathing in, I'm just sitting. I am taking your class, I am taking, giving a lecture to you, but from the beginning, I am conscious of my breath. I am breathing, I'm just breathing in, and then I'm just breathing out, breathing out, I'm breathing out. I'm telling you, I'm still breathing out, I'm breathing out because I have practiced it and I'm easily breathing it. This is what is called Sahaja Yoga. Sahaja Yoga means just simple control of the breathing. Not only you do it consciously, when you practice pranayama, that I told you 1:4 is to 2 is to 2. That is the stage 6 of the advanced practitioner of pranayama. Apart from that, during the 23 hours of your this thing, even in sleep, you can control it. What you can do, you can practice this Sahaja Yoga. You can just breathe in and without closing any nostril. This is just a simple control on breathing. Breathe in, deep, slow, and breathe out slowly. This, if you can do it, then that is the best part of it. You are breathing for less frequency, less number, and you are breathing deep and slow. And that is what is the purpose of the pranayama. And then the fixed schedule of pranayama, which you do in the morning and evening, you are actually practicing pranayama throughout. In fact, people say that when you are walking also you can do the pranayama practice. That is called Brahmana pranayama. When you are sleeping, you can even practice it before you go to bed. Before you sleep in the bed, you can actually control your breathing, then you sleep. That is called Sayana pranayama. Like that, you can keep learning it and practicing it, and you not only live longer, you live healthily. I end my talk with a message of the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram. Mother says, you must have a strong body and strong nerves. You must have strong basis of equanimity in your external being. If you have this, you can contain a world of emotion and yet not have to scream it out. Keep a cheerful mind, a peaceful heart. Let nothing disturb your equanimity and make every day the necessary progress to advance steadily towards the goal. And pranayama is one of the methods in achieving this strong body, strong nerve, and equanimity of the body. My sincere gratitude to Dr. Ishwar V. Basavareddy, the director of Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, who was actually instrumental in starting a center at JIPMER in 2008. He actually took initiative and he started this our center, and I'm really so grateful to him. And then I'm also, I would like to express on record the, my sincere thanks to Professor T.S. Ravi Kumar, who was the director at the time. When actually I became head of the department, he actually continued with this citer after the MOU with MD and IOI was over. There was a plan to close, but I requested him and he allowed me to continue with a citer by JIPMER funding. Not only that, he gave me 18.4 crores for developing research, especially that actually gave me the real research boost to do the details of not only physiological investigations, biochemical investigations, molecular investigations. In fact, I'll tell you, during his tenure, I started a molecular laboratory in physiology department, which never exists in a physiology department. And we did so much. He gave me so much of support. And because of this improvement in the research facilities and having the advanced center, we have published 56 publications we have on yoga out of 217 of my research publications. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Ji sir, shall I take questions?
No, I am hearing, but I'm not hearing actually Dr. Basavareddy's voice. Bandana, I'm hearing you, but I'm not hearing.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
Namaskar, sir. Sorry, there was one very urgent meeting in the ministry in Bandhu. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You are audible, sir.
Sir. There was because WebEx yesterday, the new version has come, sir. Because
Okay.
of that, there was a problem dealing with that. Sorry for inconvenience. Because I joined with my mobile in the ministry, couldn't reach my. I heard your entire lecture. It was very simple, and but you made a point. Last 15-20 minutes are very useful for the yoga students, especially the postgraduate students. They are very useful, sir. Thank you for association and also joining us, sir. And we'll continue this association. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry.
No problem. No problem.
Usually, I because today my joint secretary was the last working day. He was going back to his parent institution, and there were some important discussions. So therefore, I had to attend, and I
No,
couldn't
sir,
return before.
actually, in your position, you have to have a lot of other engagements. I know actually in Delhi how much we get engaged in. Suddenly, so many things will come. So thank you so much. In spite of your busy schedule, you could manage to attend some part of my talk, and I'm really so grateful.
I attend. It's my privilege. I also learn, sir, many things. I attend all the lectures of our Friday evening. I never have any assignment from 6 to 7:30. It's my privilege to listen to all the senior scholars like you, and it's a learning experience for me, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
And happy that Madam also given instructions for pranayama. And it's nice to see you both.
Yes.
Happy to see you both, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Vandana, you can take any questions are there. Otherwise, we'll close it.
Yes, sir. Their questions are pouring in like anything, and appreciation as well, because sir's lecture was very informative. I will take 2 or 3 questions if you will allow me. Sir, there is a question that has any studies been done on low BP patients? What will be the effect?
Yes, we have not done. No, we have done a lot of studies on high blood pressure in pre-hypertension and hypertension. We have not done actually research study, but I have done some case study, because I'll tell you, in our in our physiology department, we have the exciter, and we have a this yoga clinic, and patients are referred from different OPDs, different wards, departments of JIPMER. I had actually 2 cases of hypertension recently, and we prescribed them this Suryanadi Pranayama, which is known to increase sympathetic activity, and also combined with Bhastrika. And we found actually there is quite improvement in the sympathetic function and increase in blood pressure. I have not done a research on it. These are the 2 case reports that we have done, and we found that this Bhastrika and Suryanadis, these 2 pranayamas are very useful. Bhastrika from fast pranayama, and Suryanadi from the slow pranayama. They increase sympathetic activity and increase blood pressure in the hypotensive patient.
Thank you so much. Sir, there is a question. Sir, how pranayama control anger?
Yeah, that is what I was telling. See, that is what the practice, the demonstration which was given, the slow breathing. While practicing the slow breathing, we are actually relaxing our mind. We are calming down, the body physically. I'm telling you, this is just the effect of the calmness in the body that is created by pranayama. Apart from that, I was explaining the central mechanism. The pranayama improving the oxygenation of cortical cells, then influencing the limbic system, and this limbic system is directly the link to anger, anxiety, stress. and different kinds of emotion. So pranayama practice brings the limbic control, and therefore it actually decreases anger, anxiety, apprehension, and the stress level.
Okay. Sir, one last question. Can you please explain cholinergic activity of beta cell?
Beta cell, yes, that is what I was telling. See, this beta cell, the beta cell of pancreas, which is innervated more by vagal nerve, the cholinergic vagal nerve, the parasympathetic nerve to the beta cell is cholinergic because it secretes acetylcholine, and also there is sympathetic fiber. But then when we do the practice, of this pranayama, I explained so much about this proprioceptive input, then the sinus arrhythmia, then how actually the pranayama improves the vagal tone, the vagal strength. Finally, by improving the vagal tone by practice of pranayama, that is what I was actually telling. I showed the HRV, tachogram, how that even in a student who had practiced, physical exercise, but then 15 days of pranayama practice increased the vagal strength so much. That is what I showed that. So pranayama improves directly the vagal function, and vagal nerves are cholinergic, and this cholinergic vagal innervation of the beta cell is very important in improving the release of insulin from it. Apart from that, the diaphragmatic breathing, that is by Vastrika, and Kapalabhati, the diaphragmatic breathing, if you make more, then the pancreas actually massages against the diaphragm. That is actually mechanical. That is mechanical massage of pancreas against the diaphragm by diaphragmatic breathing. That also stimulates insulin release. But more important is this, slow pranayama, like this, the Chandranadi pranayama and Anulom Bilam. They improve the vagal function and direct cholinergic innervation, and therefore the insulin release. Actually, it increases not only insulin release, insulin sensitivity, therefore decreases the insulin resistance.
If many questions might be boring, sir, I have seen the Facebook and YouTube. Sir, from my side, one small query which has been asked by, because now we have presented our research studies on pranayama. I developed with ratios what you mentioned, 6-3-6-3.
Yes, sir.
5 pranayamas I developed, and very systematically over the 80 days of practice. Now we examined very good results for the frontline healthcare workers. So now the question is, some of the eminent medical professionals, they ask that the chest breathing, the thoracic breathing increases the stress. So why you are putting that thoracic breathing? So, but we are not, that is one question. I am not able to answer it, because I never found that thoracic breathing increases the stress level. Always we do abdominal breathing, thoracic breathing, clavicular breathing, and yogic deep breathing. We never advise only one thoracic breathing. It is a cycle. In our entire research or 34 years of my teaching and research experience, I never find the thoracic breathing is increasing the stress level. So, but this is the reviewer insisting on, no, it is not correct. Thoracic breathing is. That's why you show that thoracic breathing also reduces the stress. So my humble, I was to call you, but this is also useful for other readers. I am asking this question. If you have some solutions for that or some answers, it will be useful for me and also my students.
Yes, sir. Now I understand this. What actually maybe the reviewer who is not actually not much knowledgeable about yoga and pranayama, he might have taken up the mechanical part of this breathing.
Yeah.
Because especially in Vastrika and this deep breathings, I mean the fast breathing, Kapalabhati, the not only we are contracting the abdomen, the lungs, I mean the thorax is also rapidly making the contractions. So he might be thinking that is why this there is just stress on the body. But as of now, as you have already mentioned, I have not come across a single evidence of the paper or review article or even case study that thoracic expansion, increase in thoracic activity, or thoracic, no, I mean, rapid breathing increases stress on body. There is no evidence. If you can
Yes.
give me comments to send to me, sir, I can reply. I can even contact the reviewer. I can tell him. Nowadays, the reviews are also made public. I can tell him, sir, there is no evidence. So there is no scientific claim on what he says.
Yes,
No
sir.
doubt in fast breathing, especially Kapalabhati and Bhastrika, there is more thoracic, contraction of the thoracic cage, but that also increases some stress immediately on the body, but immediately after a few minutes, there is decrease in the sympathetic activity. So
Yes, sir.
if you can give me the details of this, I can prepare an answer and I can send to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, that is the why, because we never find such type of this thing, and it is the second time I given the reply. Again, the same thing has come, and I don't have any answer because this is not correct statement. Second one is for your statement, sir. Actually, when we do Kapalbhati, it is a rhythmic 120 strokes per minute. That
Correct.
means actually this is the practice. People do 1 stroke per second, 2 strokes per second,
Correct.
and sometime very slowly like this. But it's in the Shastra, there is a proper rhythm. If you continue with that rhythm for 30 seconds, 1 minute or 2 minutes, after that there is a complete fast, sir.
Yes.
So if you examine the total impact of Kapalbhati, during the time of Kapalbhati, yes, the heart rate increases, the hyperacidity patient definitely it increases, the vagal tone, etc. They also increase. Everything will increase, sir. But once you combine that fast, the after Kapalbhati impact, and it's a wonderful. You can't imagine that how your sympathetic stimulations has been reduced. It becomes to zero.
Yes.
That's a wonderful experience, because that's why we in yoga we are making the people to understand what is Keval Kumbha. That means
Right.
you effortless retention of the breath. It happens in Bhastrika, it happens in Vataneti recently we devised, and it happens in Kapalbhati when they are practiced properly. So
Correct.
then in AIMS also, in your Jipmer also, sir, we tried this. And
Yes.
you did all these experiments, and I sat with Professor Deepak ji also. He was very hesitant to take even one breathing only 4 seconds.
Correct.
So I insisted when we come to your Jipmer and he presented the paper. We remember that one.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there, that was the thing. Then I increased that minimum 12 seconds, one breathing, and but they ultimately did 4 inhalation, 2 retention, and 4 exhalation. Even for that small ratio, they got a very wonderful results.
Correct.
So what I would like to conclude, sir, yogic techniques, whatever has been developed in the ancient traditional texts, they should be understood properly and practiced properly. That's my understanding.
Yes, sir.
And they are 100% scientific, sir. But their
Yes.
intention is not only to improve the health status or improve the lungs capacity. Their intention or objective was to take to the higher aspects of sadhana, dhyana, or samadhi or something. That is the objective. So therefore, they are not emphasized much on the like this, where only increase the TDL volume or the lungs capacity. That was not their intention.
Yes.
Therefore, in that case, if we or you developed some modules to improve the lungs capacity, to develop the immunity, then you are rightly answered about the impact of our limbic system in the anger management. So all these things are nowadays the students, the yoga student doesn't have this knowledge, sir. That's why always I call people like you who are, though you are a physiologist, but you spend half of the life and research on yoga. More than 57, 60 papers. And not only that, papers is the one aspect, but another one is involvement of your time. Every day you practice, you teach. Apart from your regular teaching of physiology, you spend a lot of time, sir.
Yes, sir.
That time makes you more perfect. That's why such type of lectures, we need your association much more. Thank you very much for your endorsing my view on the thoracic breathing. If anything is there, kindly inform me, sir, so that I can answer them, because it's a internal matter and I will answer. If otherwise, I will refer to you and I will send you.
Yes, sir. Sure. I'll prepare a reply and I'll send to you, and you can send to
Thanks.
them. Sir. That will do, sir.
Tomorrow.
But why, sir, I would like to tell you, I'm really impressed by you. When I met you first time, you had come to JIPMER for selection of our this site or staff. That time I was also in the board of selection. That is the actually first time I met you. And the way you took the interview for our yoga instructors, I was really impressed. And
Thank
then,
you.
then we started having a lot of works. And we have a plan, actually, we could not, it was not materialized on hypertension research and yoga.
Yeah. Cancer also, Ravi Kumar.
Cancer and hypertension. If you
Yes.
wish, actually, I can just send a small proposal, maybe
Definitely.
with a small funding from MDNIY, we can do, sir.
Now it is not problem, sir. For us now we have more autonomy.
Then good,
Definitely
sir.
take
Then
care.
we can take up one extramural funding, not more actually, just just minimal funding. You can be
Okay.
PI from your side, I'll be PI from this JIPMER, and we can put up a proposal. I'll then send.
Even-
Yes, sir.
Now we are taking that common yoga protocol multicentric studies,
Yes, sir.
and now I did the 5 minutes yoga break multicentric studies because we went to Chennai. I didn't come to JIPMER, and now in the yoga protocol we are going 6 centers. Definitely for 1 year, if you are helping us, I will give the projects, and also funding is already 90 lakh rupees we have taken out. We'll come up with that, sir. Thank you.
You can keep us as one of the center in your multicentric study. I will be happy
Thank
to
you.
be part of it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Namaste, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and delivering such an informative lecture. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank Dr. I.V. Basvareddy, Director of MDNIY. Thank you so much, sir, for
Thank you.
time for us. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank our technical team and communication and documentation officer of MDNIY. Now, let us end this program with Shanti Path. Om Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukh Bhag Bhave Ma Kaschit Dukh Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director, sir.
Thank you, Vandana. Thank you, sir. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vandana ji.
Thank you, sir.